Welcome back to the podcast.
Today, we're going to talk about job interviews. We thought we're both in each ends of the spectrum in terms of job interviews. We've both had a good sort of variety of them. So we feel like we're definitely not experts, but we can give you our tips and tricks and just motivation.
And some advice. Some advice, some motivation, some pick-me-ups, because as you will hear, it's a process.
Actually going into the interview and preparing for an interview, research the company.
100%. Make sure you know like what their ethos is, what they do. Make sure you know, because I went to a job interview recently and they asked me, so what do you think our company does? So that really threw me in the deep end, because it was like, okay, so if you don't know what the company does, you can't answer that question.
And it seems silly because you think, obviously, I'm going to know what it does because you're for a job interview there. But it's not always, if it's a big company and it could be broken down into like sections, it is good to know what they stand for as a company, what they do, how it all works, like as a broken down process. So I feel like obviously it goes without saying, like, you have to make yourself look presentable. Obviously, no one's going to hire you over what you look like. But I think it's quite a big thing of a job interview. It can make you stand out.
Yeah, you need to prove that you look smart.
Yeah, I think looking presentable just shows that you've like kind of got your stuff together. But I think it's just first impressions are such a big thing. Also, without going on and boring you guys. But obviously, they know that you might be a bit nervous. And if you are, like, I wouldn't try and hide it to the point that obviously you don't want to look nervous, but play into it in the sense you could be like, oh, sorry, I'm just a bit nervous, like really want to get this job, like really want to do my best, like don't
own it, almost own the nerves.
Being nervous doesn't show weakness, but it shows that you care about the job interview and you care about how you're coming across, which can actually be a good thing.
Like they know that naturally as human beings you're going to be nervous, so
yeah,
don't try and act like you're not, because you might come across a bit arrogant.
True. I feel like sometimes people can worry so much about being nervous, if that makes sense, that then they'll become so nervous and so anxious that they'll just shut off. Whereas if you do just kind of own it and mention it, they will probably do their best to make you feel more comfortable, because then you'll perform better. And yeah, it just shows you care. So I feel like don't be scared if you're nervous. I feel like everyone's always nervous. You've just got to use it to your advantage.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. I agree.
So Ellie, name one of your weaknesses. Can't think of one.
I try and take on too much. So I try and overload myself with stuff, and it's like, why?
Yeah. Okay, so I feel like that is a question that they always ask in interviews. I've always been asked it in the interviews that I've had, and it's so important to like make it sound like a positive, like Ellie did. True. So I would always say I'm such a perfectionist, which is true, like I literally am, which can mean that obviously sometimes tasks could take longer, but then you're also saying that you make things perfect and you do things right and you want everything to be in line. So it's about like twisting it so that when you say a negative, you can make it a positive. So you could say like, I'm a people pleaser, but that's also a good thing because you're going to do everything you can to please them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a really good way of looking at it.
Exactly. So turn the questions.
Yeah, no, I do think they're really good tips, and I think they're probably the key things. Like I feel like the more job interviews and the more jobs we're applying for, the more we can give advice on this, because we're like narrowing down the list of stuff that you actually like, the most important things to do before a job interview. And I think you have summed them up really well.
Thanks, Ellie. So you're basically welcome. Don't be too nervous. Obviously it's normal to be nervous, but don't be too nervous. No, you could be
nervous, but like just don't try and like hide it, like
and overwhelm yourself with the nerves, like play into them, own them, like and like walk with it. Prepare, research, plan some scenarios, and just be like, I know it sounds like cheesy, but be yourself, because you're gonna, if you get the job, you're working there Monday to Friday 9 to 5, like you want to fit into the role. Like obviously everyone wants a job, but if you're not suited to the role, you won't have a good time doing it anyway. So if they say no, you weren't meant to do that job and the job wasn't meant for you, and vice versa. So like,
Yeah.
it's not that bad of a thing.
Okay, so now we're gonna kind of link back to where we're both at and try and give some advice to people from our experiences now.
Yeah.
Shall I go first?
You go first.
Okay, so yeah, I've applied to a lot of jobs and I've been rejected from a lot of jobs. And I've been through the rigorous process quite a lot of times. Safe to say, if I'm being honest and truthful, it is tiring. It is exhausting and it is not very nice. And I even got like the nicest rejection email you've ever seen. With like,
it was lovely.
They can't even give me any negative feedback because I was so good. But the other person just had the slightest bit more experience than me, so I didn't get it. So it
was the nicest rejection email, but also not helpful. But really lovely.
And they were like, over 100 people applied, 8 got interviewed, and you were second, which is so great. Love that for me, but didn't get it, did I? So I'm still back at this shitty situation of nothingness. Nothing.
No.
I described it to Kez earlier that like my life is so great right now. Like I'm ridiculously happy. I like love all my friends. I'm very content. But like my future ladder and like my career goals, and that part of my life, view it as like a ladder. You know, you start by stepping on step 1 and then you work your way up the steps. Like Kez got her first job. She's sat on step 1 right now. She is thriving. She's at the start of her journey.
I'm just like ready to walk all the way up.
Yeah, exactly. She's ready.
Ready.
I am a worm in the mud below the ladder. Like I am no way, like I'm not even on the ladder. Like I'm literally in the ground.
No, but not really, because we're resilient.
But what I'm trying to say is, even though that's how you feel, how I've been feeling, sometimes you have got to pick yourself up, keep going, be resilient, because you will find what's right for you.
Yeah.
And I know how extremely hard it is, like I just said, because at times all I think of myself is I am that little worm in the grass. Well, I'm not. I'm not that worm.
No, you're not. And
I'm like thousands of other newly graduated people trying to job hunt. And I know I could get a job. Don't get me wrong. I know I could get a job, but it's about this job being right for me. And that's what's important to me right now. And I'm not going to just settle for something that I don't really want to do. So I know I'm making it harder for myself because I could get a job, but it is really tough when you're really trying so hard to get a job in the field that you want to work in, a place where you can really see yourself, and you've got all this motivation and like gusto, and you're like ready to go and smash it.
Sorry, what is that?
Gusto.
Yeah.
It's like gusto. It's like, yes. Is that
I've
right? Is that the right word?
Never heard of that before in my life. I'm Googling it.
Maybe I've got that wrong.
If that is a word, that is hilarious.
Yeah, it's like really tough on your self motivation,
enjoyment, and enthusiasm in doing something.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow. That is
gusto.
Every day is a school day.
Cool. Yes, this is just like a little reminder to everyone who is in the same boat as me right now. Feeling low is so normal, and feeling like you want to give up is so true. Like I've just thought to myself, right, fuck it, I'm just gonna book a plane ticket and I'm just gonna go somewhere because I can't be arsed. Like I'm so tired and I can't be bothered to be rejected again.
Yeah.
When I know if they hired me, I would literally make a difference.
Yeah.
But
I think what like you have to remember, and everyone has to remember in their job search, is like what I was just saying. And I know it sounds stupid, but yeah, the reason like you have to be yourself in the interviews and everything like that is because the job has to be right for you, and not just like you thinking that the job is right for you, but that I feel like, I know it sounds like a bit deep, but everything happens for a reason. And there's like a better, when you get rejected, there's a better job out there that's more suited to you waiting for you, and it will come and it will be there. And when you do get into the job and you love it, you'll be like, oh, that was such a like hard time to look back on, but oh my God, I'm so glad for it now.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
And I think you're doing the right thing, and a lot of people, by like waiting, as hard as
yeah.
it is, because even I couldn't do it. I was like, I can't do it. But it's
I
respectful.
just think like I'm in quite a nice position, really, like
Mm-hmm.
where I'm at, but it is definitely taking its time, and I just feel like no one even warned you that's gonna take this long. Um, but yes, just when you feel like giving up, try not to. I know how hard it is. I've literally like applied for a master's because
Yeah, Ellie's doing a panic masters, everyone.
I literally am. But also the course looks really great and I wish I'd found it sooner and I wish I hadn't left it to this late to reply because they're literally not replying. And even though they let me apply for this year, they're like
Mm.
they're obviously taking their time to look through the admission, like the application stuff. So it's just like long. I don't know what I'm doing. I could literally start in like a week or I could not be accepted. So it's just a bit of a mess.
I feel
Um
like you would be accepted. What was
yeah,
the like what was the what you call like specification brief? I don't know. What did you have to
a 2-2 and I had to write a personal statement.
have? Okay, you smashed that then.
Yeah, it's just like I'm a bit concerned that maybe they weren't taking applications for this year, but they still let you apply for the 20. Like you literally had to put are you applying for the 2022 start or 2023, and I put 2022, so they were still letting you. But they said it had closed. They had closed for people who had to have a visa to live in this country, but I don't.
Yeah.
So it was still open. So I assume they're just taking their time. But like that's another thing. Like I didn't even explore masters because once I'd graduated, I never thought I even wanted to do one. And I was like, I'm not doing it in geography. I'm so fed up. Like I don't want to
Mm.
learn. I want to prove to myself that I can get a job without a master's, which I definitely do believe you can. Do not get me wrong. Like I fully believe you can. You don't need to go and do one. It's like not necessary at all. The problem with me is I'm trying to get into a career which is really, really competitive. And like that guy said, they love me. They'd hire me any day of the week, but the person had a bit more experience than me. So for me, what this master's will do is give me that extra knowledge in the field I want to go in. Because right now I have none.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I think it'll definitely help you in terms of knowledge, but do you like I don't know about the experience, but maybe I don't know what masters is like. But I do think like right now, because you're going for a job that you've not done before and it's different to your degree,
Yeah,
that's like going to be hard. So you almost have to do a master's.
exactly. Like I need like a little middleman. I feel, but I
Yeah,
do like I've applied for this course in London. Like it looks really great. So it's really tough
yeah.
because you sometimes you don't realize you want to do one until it's too late. Like I'm lucky that
Mm.
this uni still let me apply. But yeah, honestly, I feel for everyone who's in my position because it is really freaking like exhausting.
Yeah,
And it's so much waiting. It's a fucking waiting. Sorry, I'm swearing so much. It's a waiting game. Like it literally,
I think that's the problem, is because you don't know, you're like in limbo.
yeah, and it's the same for jobs. So, for example, I've applied for quite a few civil service jobs.
Hmm.
Two, I've applied for. I applied for last week. So by the time this
Hmm.
goes up, it would have been almost 2 weeks since I applied. Well, the job still hasn't closed when you're listening to this. So they're still taking applications right up until first week of October. Then you've got another week to even hear back about your application. Then, if you do hear back, you then have a week to find out about your interview. So all these things take about 6 weeks all in all, from when you
Yeah,
first submit your application to when you know if you have the job.
yeah, it's a bit of a ball ache.
So it's very intense and it's very hard to keep going in the middle. But one piece of advice I would say if you are me right now in that like limbo stage, keep yourself busy. Get a part-time job. Go work in that pub. Go work in that coffee shop. Go work in that
Yeah,
library. Like go and give yourself something to do. Go and earn some cash. Like because when you're actually starting your job or you're like obviously you'll be earning, but like just go have a bit of fun. Go get a fun job. Like I've always wanted to work in like a coffee shop bakery and I've applied for a job in one because I just want to go and work there. And
yeah,
I love it. It's my favorite coffee shop ever. And I just thought, well, this now's the time. I'm in limbo. Like I want to go and do something I've always wanted to do. So I'm gonna go do it.
yeah.
And it's like, don't just sit at home waiting to get a job, like because it's gonna make you feel worse. Get out on your daily walk,
100%.
go to the gym, go to your part-time job, go and plan some fun things, keep yourself busy, 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 because that's what I'm doing and I'm thriving.
There we go. I think that is an amazing piece of advice. And I feel like
And
everyone who is job hunting will feel much better. I found it hard when I didn't have a job because everyone around me knew what they were doing and they weren't necessarily in jobs, but people were doing masters. Like Neve had her dream job. Two of my home friends had got full-time jobs, And I was just like, I didn't even have a part-time job. So for a start, I had no money. And I was just like, oh, this is just like not a nice life. So I think Ellie's advice is so true. And like, I think that would have helped me before I got my job to like kind of stay sane. Like sitting around all day is not good.
No, definitely. Like there's so many benefits to having one. So that's why I think like if you've had, like I said, if you've had a dream job, part-time job, a little pub, if you've never worked in a bar, go work in a bar. Like, because one day you're going to be doing a 9 to 5. Now is your time to like experience the night shift and experience a late bar shift.
Yeah.
Just like be like a young person in their early 20s doing all the early 20s jobs. Do you know what I mean? Like, because honestly, they're crap, but I've had my fair share of them now and I CBA. But you're going to be stuck in a 9 to 5 for like 50 years. So you might as well get all the other thing. Try different things like your system while you can now.
Yeah. Basically, go crazy. Go traveling. Just, do you know what? Just go live your life.
Okay, well, that brings us to the end of another episode. We hope you have enjoyed. We hope you're finding it helpful, and we hope that it makes you feel a little bit better if you feel like a worm in the ground.
Yeah, try not to be a worm, and yeah, just go traveling and don't be a worm.
And
Love
get a
you
part-time
guys.
job and get work in a bar and get a takeaway.
Get a part-time job, work in a bar. Don't be a worm. Love you guys.
Bye.